Hey there folks, Tom Rigsby from TomRigsby.com. Today I need just one more good idea. Stay tuned for 7 minutes in the morning. Well, good morning folks and welcome. This is 7 minutes in the morning. It's your daily dose from me, your business coach. My name is Thom Rigsby. Well, today we're talking about ideas. Now, if you've listened to this show for any length of time, you've probably heard me say that ideas are cheap. It's execution that counts. And absolutely, that is still the truth. But today, I want to talk to you about creating ideas. See, I believe that ideas are the fuel of entrepreneurship. And if you give up on creating ideas, you're giving up on yourself and your business. So let me tell you a little story about a guy who didn't have an idea, who couldn't see past the day-to-day activity of what he was working on. Back in 1977, there was a guy named Ken Olsen. At the time, he was president of Digital Equipment Corporation, one of the big mainframe computer manufacturers. And he is famously quoted as saying, there is no reason that anybody would ever want to have a computer in their home. I wonder what he thinks about us carrying computers around in our pocket now. Well, the interesting thing is that a year prior to that, in April of 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started Apple Computer in their garage. See, they had already had the idea. They had had the vision of something better to come. Sometimes you have to have that vision for your customers. I spent a lot of time here talking with you about how understanding your customer and understanding their problems can help you create products that add value to their lives. Absolutely, I still believe that. There's no reason to change that approach. But what about what they don't know? Right? What if they don't know they even have a need for it? Did any of us know that we had a need for a smartphone before we got one? No. Did anybody know that we had a need for a television before the first one was sold? And even beyond that, there can be many competitors already in the market, right? There were plenty of phone manufacturers. Here's my phone. It's an iPhone. So there were plenty of phone manufacturers, but nobody making a smartphone, nobody making the iPhone, right? So they created a new category because of what? An idea. So here's a quote, comes to you from Jim Rohn. A lot of you know that I like Jim a lot and listen to a lot of his material. He's the basis for what a lot of people talk about, including people like Tony Robbins. But Jim said, ideas can be life-changing. Sometimes all you need is one more idea. So here's the exercise that I want you to take away from today's show. I want you to spend 5 minutes in the idea mind. Now, if you understand or maybe know anything about mining at all, you understand that when they go into the mine, they just take everything that's in front of them. That's called the ore, right? So if they're mining iron or gold or aluminum, whatever the case may be, they just take it all in this ore state. They don't worry about refining it. They don't worry about the final product. They only worry about getting as much raw material as possible. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to find a nice quiet place. If you can do it right after this podcast, that'd be great. Find you a nice quiet place, sit down with a pad and a pencil, and spend those 5 minutes writing down as many new ideas for your business or your life as you can. Now, a couple of challenges for you. I am connected all the time, okay? I think you probably are too. Don't do this on your computer. Leave your computer, leave your phone, go into a quiet place by yourself. And, earlier this week I was talking about the value of index cards. I tend to do this on index cards, and I have a stack of them here, right here. If I get an idea, pens out, write the idea down, and put it down, okay? Now, that actually is a process that maybe I'll talk about in a later show, but it gets the idea out of my head and onto paper so that I don't have to try and store it in my head. All right, so now back to the idea mind. Spend 5 minutes, right? Find a timer, find an egg timer. If you cannot look at your email or Facebook or Twitter updates, you can use your phone, but spend 5 minutes writing down every idea. Now, it's very important when you do this, don't try to filter the ideas while you're writing them. Just write them down. The dumber the better, right? Because you got to get the dumb ones out of the way to get to the real gems. Okay? So write down every idea you can in 5 minutes. Now, when you finish that exercise, I want you to take that piece of paper up, fold it up, stick it in your pocket, put it in your purse, and you carry that piece of paper around with you all weekend. Everywhere you go, make sure that that piece of paper and a pen or a pencil is close by, because you're going to think of more ideas. One thing that happens is when we start exercising this process in our brain, then our brain starts thinking of new things, and you need to have that paper close by so you can write them down. Now, on Monday's show, we're going to bring this piece of paper back, so make sure that you have it on Monday. We'll talk about what to do with those ideas, but for now, spend 5 minutes in the idea mine, and keep the paper close to you so you can record all of those this weekend. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who's visited our iTunes page or the Facebook page, left a comment, left a review, or left a like on Facebook. If you haven't done that yet, go to 7minutesinthemorning.com/iTunes. That'll take you to our iTunes page, or /Facebook takes you to our Facebook page. We'd love to hear your feedback there. And speaking of feedback, if you have anything you'd like to share with me, please don't hesitate. Send it to Thom@ThomRigsby.com. Those emails come straight to me, and I read every one of them. Well, that's it for today and for this week. Remember, your idea mining this weekend. Bring it back on Monday so we can work with those ideas. I want to leave you with a thought before we go. Remember, ideas are the fuel of entrepreneurship. You don't want to run out of gas on your journey. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday. We'll talk about those ideas. Until then, my name is Thom Rigsby, and I am your business coach.